Good evening, everyone. The formal meeting of the Richmond City Council will now come to order. Madam Clerk, if you would please read the necessary announcement regarding Spanish interpretation services for this meeting.
Spanish interpretation is available in the council chamber. Please see a representative at the rear of the room to receive the appropriate equipment. Spanish interpretation is also available through Microsoft Teams for virtual attendees in need of this service.
Disponemos de servicio de interpretación al español en la sala del consejo. Por favor, diríjase hacia atrás al representante a recibir el equipo adecuado. La interpretación en español también se está poniendo a disposición a través de Microsoft Teams para los participantes virtuales que necesiten dichos servicios.
Thank you. At this time, the invocation will be offered by Reverend Dan Murata of Redeemer Anglican Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Welcome.
Would you pray with me? Almighty God, our Heavenly Father, send down upon those who hold public office, especially Andrew, Catherine, Kenya, Sarah, Stephanie, Ellen, Cynthia, Reva, Nicole, and all other elected officials present this evening, the spirit of wisdom, charity, and justice, that with steadfast purpose they may faithfully serve in their offices to promote the well-being of all people through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, if you would please provide the chamber emergency evacuation announcement followed by the public speaker guidelines.
Upon activation of the emergency alarm signal, all persons should immediately exit the building. Please use the exits to the left or right front of the council chamber or the east or west stairwell outside the rear doors of the chamber. Do not use elevators or escalators. After exiting the building, proceed down 9th Street and enter the assembly area located in the former public safety building parking lot. Abled persons should assist visually and hearing impaired visitors with exiting the building. Public speaker guidelines. Individuals wishing to speak during the public hearings and public comment period are generally allowed 3 minutes to speak. Persons appearing before council are not allowed to campaign for public office, promote private business ventures, use language of a personal nature which insults or demeans any person, including comments directed at public officials or staff members that are not related to their official duties, or to address or question staff members directly. All questions are to be directed to the President of Council. Failure to adhere to the guidelines may result in speakers forfeiting any remaining time and further disciplinary actions as necessary, which could include barring from attendance at future meetings of City Council for a period of 6 months. Members of the public who register in advance to speak virtually will be called upon at the appropriate time, either during the public comment period or during the public hearing for the legislation on which they signed up to address.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Members, I have a motion for electronic meeting participation. Pursuant to Rule 3D 4B of Council's Rules of Procedure, Council Member Kenya Gibson has made a request to participate in this meeting via Microsoft Teams from her home due to medical condition that prevents her physical attendance at this meeting. The council members present must adopt a motion to approve Councilor Gibson's participation in the meeting by electronic communication means if it is that it appears to the body that her request complies with Rule 3D of Council's Rules of Procedure. At this time, pursuant to Rule 3D 4D of Council's Rules of Procedure, is there a motion from those council members physically assembled approving Councilor Gibson's participation in this meeting by electronic communication means?
So move.
Second.
Council is voting on the motion to approve Ms. Gibson's request to participate in this meeting through electronic communication means. Mr. Breton?
Aye.
Ms. Jones?
Aye.
Ms. Robertson? Ms. Trammell?
Aye.
Ms. Abubakar?
Aye.
Vice President Jordan? And President Newbill?
Aye.
That motion has been approved. And Madam President, for the record, all members of council are in attendance this evening except for Councilor Lynch.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, let's proceed to the public comment period. Public comment period speakers.
Yes, Madam President, the only speaker we have for this evening for public comment is Gustavo Espinosa.
Hello, council members. I'm Gustavo Espinosa, a renter in the 2nd District and a community organizer with the Legal Aid Justice Center. I fight alongside renters every day, and today I'm speaking in favor of 3 common sense solutions to Richmond's housing crisis, a very serious housing crisis. And to be clear, we're not struggling just with the quantity of housing, but with the quality of housing, with the affordability of housing, and with the stability of housing in our city. And it's not just a simple case of supply and demand. Predatory and negligent landlords take advantage of our city's lack of supply and lack of accountability so that they can increase rents while they decrease the quality of our housing. My neighbors, your constituents, are struggling under unlivable conditions: mold, rodents, broken AC, broken heat, broken appliances, broken doors and windows. This is harming their health and safety. Your constituents are being priced out of their homes, pushed into the counties, and put out on the streets. They are crushed under abusive rent hikes of $100, $200, $300. I myself experienced a $200 rent increase in the 2nd District. Your constituents are evicted on a daily basis, and I'm sure at this point you're tired of hearing Richmond's reputation for mass evictions. Thankfully, these problems all have concrete solutions. Today, allies are coming together to ask in one voice for these solutions, because we know Richmond has to use all the available tools, long-term and short-term, and Richmond has a responsibility to fight like hell for the tools we don't already have. So first, we need an effective and proactive rental inspection program so that people have a safe place to live. We need a robust, resilient, and accessible rental assistance program, a family crisis fund, so that people can stay in their homes while we get the General Assembly to give Richmond permission to limit rent increases, to put an end to this rent gouging. Again, we need these 3 tools now while Richmond builds affordable housing supply that we desperately need, but that will take decades. We thank those of you already championing and supporting these solutions, but now is the time for everyone to join us and take meaningful action. Use your power to make a difference.
You have 30 seconds.
Thank you. Richmond can be a leader for Virginia on housing, or we can sit by and watch this crisis consume our city. So finally, in honor of the many families we've already lost, the people that have been displaced, as well as the people that are impacted daily today, we are respectfully asking everyone to observe a minute of silence. Please stand or raise your hand if you have been affected by this housing crisis or if you support these solutions. And we have given the letter. It's right here for you guys.
That is your time.
Thank you, Ms. Espinosa.
And Madam President, that is the only speaker for this evening's public comment period.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We will move on to review amendments to tonight's agenda.
Yes, Madam President, the proposed amendments to tonight's agenda are as follows. Item
Mr.
1.
Clerk, before you move on, I do want to say thank you for all of you who are present and by virtue of standing, conveying your agreement with what was just espoused by Mr. Espinosa, and thank you for being here. Mr. Clerk, I'm sorry, let's move on to review any amendments to tonight's agenda.
Yes, the proposed amendments to tonight's agenda are as follows. Item 1, ordinance 2025-014 will be continued to the Tuesday, May 27th council meeting. Item 2, ordinance 2025-025 will be continued to the Monday, May 12th council meeting. Item 3, ordinance 2025-032 will be continued to the Tuesday, May 27th council meeting. Item 4, ordinance 2025-046 will be amended later this evening and then continued to the Monday, May 12th council meeting. Item 5, ordinance 2025-052 will be continued to the Monday, May 12th council meeting. Item 6, ordinance 2025-053 will be continued to the Monday, May 12th council meeting. Item 17, resolution 2024-R041 will be continued to the Tuesday, May 27th council meeting. Item 20, ordinance 2024-187 will be continued to the Monday, June 9th council meeting. Item 21, ordinance 2024-329 will be amended later this evening and then continued to the Monday, May 12th council meeting. Regarding tonight's budget-related ordinances, item 25, ordinance 2025-057 will be amended later this evening and then continued to the Monday, May 12th council meeting. Item 26, ordinance 2025-058 will be amended later this evening and then continued to the Monday, May 12th council meeting. And all remaining budget-related ordinances, which consist of items 27 through 31, ordinance 2025-059, 060, 061, 062, and 063 will be continued to the Monday, May 12th council meeting. Madam President, those are all the amendments to tonight's agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Is there a motion to accept the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Council is voting on this evening's agenda amendments as presented. Mr. Breton,
Aye.
Ms. Gibson,
Yes.
Ms. Jones,
Aye.
Ms. Robertson, Ms. Trammell, Ms. Abubakar, Vice President Jordan, and President Newville.
Aye.
That motion was approved.
And Madam President, the consent agenda for this evening consists of the following items. Item 7, ordinance 2025-054. Item 8, ordinance 2025-056. Item 9, 2025-064. Item 10, ordinance 2025-065. Item 11, ordinance 2025-066. Item 12, 2025-067. Item 13, ordinance 2025-069. Item 14, 2025-070. Item 15, ordinance 2025-071. Item 16, ordinance 2025-072. Item 18, resolution 2025-R015. And lastly, item 19, resolution 2025-016. Those are all the items on tonight's consent agenda.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We will now proceed to a public hearing on the consent agenda items. Are there persons present who are desirous of speaking in opposition to any item on the consent agenda? If you would line up. Do we have any persons who've joined us virtually, Madam Clerk, to speak in opposition?
No, we did not have any virtual speakers for the consent agenda.
Thank you. Are there persons present desirous of speaking in favor of any item on the consent agenda this evening? Please come forward if you would line up in the middle aisle there.
Hello, good evening, council and just honorable council and is the mayor here? Let's see. Okay. Well, and audience, my name is Marlon Baycoat. I am a peer recovery specialist. I'm speaking to the ordinance 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. I became a peer recovery specialist in the state of Virginia before the Virginia Certification Board jumped on board and started certifying us in 2015 under INAPS. Since that time, I've dealt with barrier crimes. There's a systemic disparity that we face, especially dealing with Black low-income neighborhoods where we can't work due to DBHDS background checks. This law needs to pass. I helped Senator Monty Mason pass Senate Bill 555 in 2018, and we are still struggling to get workers in the field. I am now a PhD candidate. I have my master's. I have 3 licenses with the Department of Health, and I can't work with people in low-income neighborhoods because of the social services barrier crime law. I can work for private providers. I can work for the state of New York, which I did 2 years ago and answered the 988 suicide crisis line. But I can't work with people out Gilpin Court and Wickham who have Medicaid. This ordinance that the mayor is passing, I saw it on the news this morning. I facilitate substance use groups in the morning, and I went over to McShin Foundation and took my group over there today and saw that tomorrow's fentanyl awareness day, and there's a poster on the wall of an 18-year-old who died from one pill. And maybe if we didn't have these barriers in place, that you would be able to have people like me and other qualified workers to work. But thank you for what you're doing with this bill. I hope it gets passed. All the ones that are going to support peer support. I'm one of them that can't work under Medicaid. But if you pass this and do this for the city, I can work in the city of Richmond where I live. Thanks.
Thank you. With that, the public hearing is now closed. Bring it back to council for discussion. Any members? Seeing none, please call the call.
Council is now voting on the consent agenda as presented. Mr. Bratton?
Aye.
Ms. Gibson? Ms. Gibson?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Aye.
Ms. Robertson? Ms. Trammell?
Aye.
Ms. Abu Bakr?
Wholehearted aye.
Vice President Jordan? And President Newbill?
Aye.
Those papers have been adopted.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's move on to the regular agenda.
The first item on this evening's regular agenda is as follows. Item 22, ordinance number 2025-048, to authorize the special use of 2701 Garland Avenue for the purpose of adult transitional housing, and to repeal ordinance number 97-174-190 and all amendatory ordinances thereto. That paper is before council.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would the patron and/or their designee like to speak to this paper at this time?
Thank you, President Newbill. Kevin J. Vonk, Planning Director. These comments apply to both ordinances 048 and 055, so I will not repeat myself when I come back up. As you're aware, once we finalize an ordinance for introduction, there's a few weeks before it makes it to a public hearing at Planning Commission and here. As for these applications, during that time, and as evidenced by what the applicant conveyed to the neighbors and at the public hearing, the scope of the proposed uses on these properties expanded and changed. Staff was prepared to offer up amendments at the Planning Commission meeting to condition some of these changes, but that was not necessary because the Planning Commission recommended a denial. And staff does support the recommendation for denial, given that the ordinances as currently presented are not enough to satisfy negative impacts in terms of health, safety, and welfare with regards to section 301050.1 of City Code.
Thank you, Mr. Vonk. We will now proceed to conduct a public hearing on the paper. Are there persons present desirous of speaking in opposition to the paper? If you would come forward.
Good evening, Madam President and City Councils. I'm here to say, I'm Mariah White. I got to say my name. I'm here to say I'm in opposition of the transition housing. For one reason I'm in opposition is because they are coming up everywhere in Richmond. And they're near schools, they're near universities. There's no zoning signs being put up, no community input. One was put up in my neighborhood just a couple months ago. This is the second one. I'm trying to find out what are we rehabbing. I'm in second district and I did ask second district about this and they said this is a rehab house. I need to know what is it rehabbing. There is about 12 males. I have no problem with people having a second chance, but we have 2 of them on the block. And what are we rehabbing? And you're not getting the input from the community. We're just putting places there. And I do know that it takes about 500,000 to 2 million to support this effort. So who are getting the cutbacks? Because the neighborhood is not. And you're only putting them in certain neighborhoods and certain areas. So I would like to know, especially about the one that's just been put up there in the last couple of months. And I know that the state does not have a policy. So there should be somewhere where the city council and the state works together to notify the community of what they are actually rehabilitating. When we're having students, we have schools that are nearby, and no one is telling anyone, you're just placing males in the middle of the street. In the morning, they're looking at your children, they're looking at you. You don't know what's going on. And I can't imagine one of you having one of those houses beside you and not thinking what is actually going on in the city of Richmond. And another thing is that I'm always seeing now is Airbnbs. We got them in our neighborhood. So I'm not sure if this is legal, and I'm not sure if I heard that the planning commission did not agree to this. So I'm not sure why you would have planning commission if you are not following their guidance, because they are supposed to be looking at the vision and what benefits the community. And I haven't seen that. So I am against this opposition until someone can say what we're really doing with these rehabs, or we're just putting them in certain locations, certain areas. I would like to also see how many is in each district from first to.
That is your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. White. Madam Clerk, do we have anyone else present and/or on virtually to speak in opposition?
Yes, we do have one virtual speaker, Michelle Brown Harris. Ms. Brown Harris, you may unmute and begin your comment.
Thank you. Good evening, City Council members, and thank you for allowing me to speak on this. So my name is Michelle Brown Harris. I am a neighbor on Garland Avenue, and I've come to speak in opposition of this ordinance 2025-048 as well as 055. So before I really start on the concerns, I ask that you consider when you're voting to please take into account 3 things. So neighbors that are in opposition of this, please don't look at it as another one of those not in my backyard mentality. Instead, it's much of we already have enough of this in our backyard, as evident of the group homes that are along the Chamberlain corridor. When we're saturated with this in the 3rd district on North Side, and particularly in Battery Park. Neighbors have repeatedly said that they do not want this and that they want to have a residential area. And this is based off of the multiple surveys that we have done within the community, but also within the Richmond 300. So while it's admirable of this petition that at the end of the day, they're trying to help individuals who are in need and for the community, we need to remember that this petition is for a for-profit organization. So as we should look at this item, it should be looked upon as a business proposition and not as some type of charity or good feel thing. We need to make sure that all of the wraparound services are in place. And when it came to talk to the Battery Park, that really was not clear. Third, as again, admirable of this proposition with neighbors at the meeting, petitioners stated that this was kind of a ministry, a calling for them. And that's great. I mean, in fact, I've been a part of such efforts, but with an effort like this and what they are discussing that they want to do, licensed professionals are needed, not certified professionals. We've seen how this problem has been around, again, the Chamberlain and Brooklyn Park corridor, where we don't have individuals who are really licensed professionals to help the individuals who are there. And lastly, the concern that I have is that it was mentioned this is going to be a lockdown facility. Why are we putting a lockdown?
You have 30
Hood.
seconds.
Thank you. I'm done.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, if there are no other virtual speakers, the public hearing is now closed. Bring it back to the body for any discussion.
Madam President, you do need to ask if there's anyone in support of this ordinance before you close out the public hearing.
Okay, thought we had, yes, okay. Well, we covered that one. But do we have persons present desirous of speaking in favor of this paper who are present? Please come forward.
Hello, my name is Rachel Hefner. I work all across the city of Richmond. And as a social worker, what I just heard was incredibly disturbing. People need a safe space to be able to rehabilitate no matter what they are dealing with. And I would love to have them as my neighbors if the opportunity exists. I think the language that was just put forward by people about not wanting to have people next to them who are rehabilitating, actively taking the steps in order to do what they need to be active citizens and contribute. I think it's disgusting to keep saying, oh, we don't want those people next to us. We need it. Yeah, people need a space in order to be able to heal. And also the reason why it might be a for-profit entity is because getting a nonprofit licensure is expensive. It is very expensive. So they might be a for-profit company for a variety of reasons. You don't know. I would investigate that. And also people need a space to heal. And I think Richmond, the city of Richmond, is a great place to do that. We have free access to transportation right now, and people are able to get to jobs. And so that is why some of these places are in certain parts of the community, is because they have better access to transportation and to jobs and to things of that nature. So I think what was just said was rather disgusting. And I would like to say that I would love for anyone who is going through any of these challenges and rehabilitating to be my neighbor. And I hope that you all agree with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, do we have any persons who've joined us virtually desirous of speaking in favor?
We do
of this
not.
paper?
We don't.
Thank you. The public hearing is closed. Bring it back to council for discussion.
And Madam President, Ms. Gibson does have her hand raised.
Councilmember Gibson.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to express my appreciation of the community who, did their homework and got organized, got to talk to neighbors, and learned as much as they could about the proposals that are on the table. And I appreciate that this is an urban neighborhood with a good number of halfway homes in the community, which I want to express the halfway homes, unlike the proposal, is a place where access to transportation and jobs is critical. But this facility is a locked facility and is very different than the way a halfway home works, where being in a part of a community is core to the success of the of that entity. And so there were considerable questions that the community brought up, which I think were very valid. And they shared that information. They came to the Planning Commission, and the Planning Commission made the recommendation, which I support. And so I am voting no on this matter, but appreciate the work that residents did to do their homework. Thank you so much.
Thank you, council member. Are there any other comments from members? Councilmember Vice President.
Thank you so much, Madam President. I just want to acknowledge and thank the second district resident who came out. One thing that I think I have observed in the second is that there's a real disparity between the types of facilities that are opened. And there's one, I mean, I think it's really just a block and a half away from my house. Guys come in and they have a really nice house to live in a dynamic neighborhood. And I do see them move on. It is a true halfway house and they're able to get back on their feet. And then I hear reports of other facilities in different parts of my district that are not as well run. So I just want to say, I think it's a complicated issue. We do absolutely need places that people who are seeking help can get that help. But appreciate hearing from the council member who represents the district on this particular facility. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, if you would call the question.
Council is voting on ordinance number 2025-48 as stated. Mr. Breton,
No.
Ms. Gibson,
No.
Ms. Jones,
No.
Ms. Robertson,
No.
Ms. Trammell, Ms. Abubakar,
No.
Vice President Jordan,
No.
and President Newbill.
No.
That paper has not been adopted.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Please call the next item.
The next item on this evening's regular agenda is as follows. Item 23, ordinance number 2025-055, to authorize the special use of 2700 North Avenue for the purpose of an outpatient professional office building, and to repeal ordinance number 97-174-190 and all amendatory ordinances thereto. That paper is before council.
Thank you. Mr. Vonk, any further comment relative to this item?
Thank you, President Newbill. Kevin J. Vaughn, Director of Planning Development Review. Although they're not officially companion papers, this is from the same applicant, and again, the same circumstances in terms of the time between application and the actual use that is going to be proposed there. It is not in line with the health, safety, welfare criteria outlined in City Code, and therefore we support Planning Commission's recommendation for a denial of this paper.
Thank you, Mr. Vonk. At this time, we'll hold a public hearing on the paper. If we have persons present in the audience desirous of speaking in opposition to the paper, if you would please come forward. If there are any, please come forward.
Hi, good evening. My name is Andrew Green. I live on Garland, not too far from this area, which is a part of the same one you just debated. And I just wanted to address briefly what was said earlier, is that it's not an issue of this not being in our backyard. It is the issue of the fact that the application doesn't have any security applications whatsoever. It's supposed to be a lockdown facility, but apparently there's no parameters of these people being able to leave. Our neighborhood has, as you all probably know, had a very long history of alcohol and drug issues, which are still present today. And to say that this facility would be helping anyone who could just decide to leave at some point and potentially access those things in our neighborhood, exacerbating the issue, that's part of why I think this is a terrible idea. And it's not that this type of facility is unwanted. It's that this is a single family neighborhood. There is a church across the street, two actually within the general vicinity, who all came and spoke at the public planning hearing and in opposition to this, which I believe spoke volumes to this. So I just wanted to clarify those viewpoints and emphasize the opposition to this. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, are there persons present virtually desirous of speaking in opposition to the paper?
Yes, Michelle Brown Harris. Ms. Brown Harris, you may unmute and make your comment.
Thank you. And respectfully, again, I'm just going to go ahead and yield my time back. I'm just not in opposition. I mean, I'm in opposition of this 100 nor
Madam
Clerk,
President, I believe she's concluded her comments.
With that, the public hearing is now closed.
Madam President, we do need to ask if there are persons present that are in
I will
support.
vote. Say again?
We need to call for support speakers. Is there anyone present who would like to speak in favor of this ordinance? Seeing none, back to the council.
Do we have any persons virtually desirous of speaking in favor, Madam Clerk?
We do not.
Bring it back to the body. Public hearing is closed. Any comment? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, if you would call the question.
Council is voting on ordinance number 2025-055 as stated. Mr. Breton,
No.
Ms. Gibson,
No.
Ms. Jones,
No.
Ms. Robertson,
No.
Ms. Trammell,
No.
Ms. Abubakar,
No.
Vice President Jordan,
No.
and President Newbill.
No.
That paper has not been adopted.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's proceed to the next.
The last item on this evening's regular agenda is as follows. Item number 24, ordinance number 2025-068, and that's to establish a tax rate of $1.16 for the tax year beginning January 1st, 2026. That paper is before council.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would the patron like to make any comment?
Madam President, you know, with all the things that's going on right now, some of these breaking news that's happened, and I just can't believe what is happening in our city. I will say that right now. I'm very, very disgusted, very upset, and y'all know that I've been trying for years and years to reduce this to roll back the real estate tax from $1.20 to $1.16, because it's not happened since Governor Wilder was our mayor. And he had it reduced like, I think 46 or 41 cents 16 years ago when he was the mayor here. Now, with all the stuff that's going on, you all probably haven't seen it because you've been sitting in here, but I'm going to have to ask to withdraw my paper. Don't want to do that, but I know I don't have the votes. And I know that right now we got some crisis that's happening. We got a inspector general that's working from home, or was working from home, that's looking at things that that's definitely going to make the news. If he doesn't, then I will.
Member
Wait a minute. I'm on my paper. I'm on the paper.
But you just.
I know, but I'm not going to say what we talked about. Don't worry about that. I didn't even look at it. I gave the papers back. But let me just say this. I do not want to do this, but I'm going to have to because I don't have the votes. And when all this other stuff hits the newspapers in 6, 8, and 12, you all will fully understand what I'm saying, what I'm talking about. So I want to thank my colleague who said that she would stay with me, but I'm going to go ahead and withdraw the paper until we finish the budget and see if we have any money for all the things that we done spent weeks and weeks and days on with this budget. So I'm asking to withdraw the paper. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you,
Madam
Member Trammell.
Madam President.
Yes, Madam
If
Clerk.
it's the desire of the chief patron to withdraw this ordinance, would she like to make a motion to continue this paper to the May 12th council meeting so that she can have time to process that withdrawal form?
I don't think I'm going to have the votes then either. But go ahead. We'll do that. We'll do that. Thank you.
Okay, so
Thank you,
Madam
Madam
Clerk, let me be clear. There is a form that the council member would need to utilize to process the withdrawal such that we can't proceed with her request this evening?
Correct. We do need to have her sign it, and then the clerk needs to sign it, and then we need to issue notice of the withdrawal of this paper.
Madam President, let it be clear that I wanted to go forward with this paper, but after all this stuff that's happened in the past hour, no, I'm going to
Duly
I'll do what you
noted.
need me to do, Candace.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, for that clarification. Duly noted. Let's proceed, Madam Clerk.
Is there a second to Ms. Trammell's motion to continue this item?
Second.
Thank you. Council is now voting on the motion to continue ordinance number 2025-068 to the May 12th council meeting pending withdrawal. Mr. Breton,
Aye.
Ms.
I-
Gibson,
I had my hand raised.
Madam President.
Yes, please, can't see, so you'll have to alert me when she has her hand raised.
Ms. Gibson, you may proceed.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I just wanted to express, as it pertains to the discussion about the changing the tax rate, and I've put a lot of thought into it. I mean, I really think in order for us to get there, we have to look very keenly at how we are estimating our revenue. And I appreciate we had a presentation by the assessor. And as I highlighted during that budget discussion, for the past 4 years, we've just seen this ongoing trend where we are making, where we receive a budget estimate, then the budget estimate goes up after we adopt the budget, and then even after that, there's a surplus again. I know that we're talking about reviewing the calendar. I understand that. But right now, this year, we are adopting a budget, and it does not serve, as I believe right now, does not serve the greater public of Richmond if to have such a surplus that then goes and sits in a reserve. And we're seeing huge amounts going into this reserve. Beyond that, in this moment in time, we also are promising kind of giving people their money back after the fact with a rebate process that, as I understand it, has been we've seen mistake after mistake where folks, including myself, are still waiting for checks. So
Councilmember Gibson.
I'm almost finished, Madam President. What I am saying is, look, I am a person, I believe we have to spend money to serve the residents of our city. We have an immense amount of need. But I also believe that in a climate where the adjacent areas are reducing their tax, I am not convinced that the money is not there. And I don't believe we're doing right by taking more than we need from residents if we're not going to deliver back to them what they've been paying for.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, let's proceed.
Ms. Gibson,
Yes.
Ms. Jones,
Aye.
Ms. Robertson, Ms. Trammell, Ms. Abubakar,
Aye.
Vice President Jordan,
Aye.
and President Newbill.
Aye.
That motion has been approved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's proceed to
Madam President, the first motion to amend that is before council is a motion to amend ordinance number 2024-329, which authorizes the special use of 5728 Patterson Avenue and 805 Libby Avenue for the purpose of a mixed-use building, including commercial space, to provide for modified plans and conditions. Councilmember Breton, would you make the motion to amend and continue this ordinance to the Monday, May 12th council meeting?
I move that we amend and continue to the next meeting so that we can put some improvements to the plan that I am very grateful are in there.
Second.
Thank you. Council is now voting on the motion to amend and continue ordinance number 2024-329 to the Monday, May 12th council meeting as stated. Mr. Breton,
Aye.
Ms. Gibson,
Yes.
Ms. Jones,
Aye.
Ms. Robertson,
Aye.
Ms. Trammell,
Aye.
Ms. Abubakar,
Aye.
Vice President Jordan,
Aye.
and President Newbill.
aye.
That motion has been approved, and that paper as amended will be before you again on May 12th.
Thank you.
The next motion before you is a motion to amend ordinance number 2025-046, which amends ordinance number 2008-2 2003-270-261 as previously amended by ordinance number 2003-296-255, which authorized a community unit plan at 1300 Westwood Avenue for a mixed-use development consisting of a maximum of 144 residential units, a community center with reception facility and non-medical office, a preventative health care facility, 2 private schools, and a 50-unit dormitory, and modified the plan for the fence required between the subject property and 1409 Palmyra Avenue, and modifies the plan for the development of tennis courts to modify sheet C3.00 of the plans and to remove a certain recital concerning the final plan of development. Councilmember Jones, will you make the motion to accept this amendment and to continue this paper to the Monday, May 12th council meeting?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Council is now voting on the motion to amend and to continue ordinance number 2025-046 to the Monday, May 12th council meeting as stated. Mr. Breton,
Aye.
Ms. Gibson,
Yes.
Ms. Jones,
Aye.
Ms. Robertson,
Aye.
Ms. Trammell, Ms. Abubakar, Vice President Jordan, and President Newbill.
Aye.
That motion has been approved, and that paper as amended will be before you again on May 12th.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's move on to approval of minutes.
Madam President, we do have 2 more motions to amend.
I only have 2 up here.
We do have 2. One is, both are related to the budget
Okay.
ordinances. Would you
That's
like?
fine. Yes, that's fine. I only have the last 2.
Before you is a motion to amend ordinance number 2025-057, which adopts the annual budget, which includes all of the separate current expense budgets for the general operation of the city government and Richmond Public Schools, and for each utility as defined in Chapter 13 of the city charter, and provides for increases to certain fees for the fiscal year commencing July 1st, 2025, and ending June 30 of 2026, and to appropriate the estimated revenues for such fiscal year for the objects and purposes stated in such budget, to remove non-budget related provisions, incorporate council district funds allocations, and impose conditions on the expenditure of certain funds. Councilmember Abubakar, will you make the motion to amend and to continue ordinance number 2025-057 to the Monday, May 12th council meeting?
So moved.
And Vice President Jordan, will you second that motion? Thank you. Council is now voting on the motion to amend and to continue ordinance number 2025-057 to the Monday, May 12th council meeting as stated. Mr. Breton,
Aye.
Ms. Gibson,
Yes.
Ms. Jones,
Aye.
Ms. Robertson,
Aye.
Ms. Trammell,
Aye.
Ms. Abubakar,
Aye.
Vice President Jordan, and President Newbill.
Aye.
That motion has been approved, and that paper as amended will be before you again on May 12th. Lastly is a motion to amend ordinance number 2025-258, which accepts a program of proposed capital improvement projects for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025, and for the 4 fiscal years thereafter, to adopt a capital budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025, and to determine the means of financing the same, to modify certain appropriations. Councilwoman Trammell, will you make the motion to amend and continue ordinance number 2025-058 to the Monday, May 12th council meeting?
So moved, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Gibson, will you second that motion?
Yes.
Council is now voting on the motion to amend and continue ordinance number 2025-058 to the Monday, May 12th council meeting as stated. Mr. Breton,
Aye.
Ms. Gibson,
Yes.
Ms. Jones,
Aye.
Ms. Robertson, Ms. Trammell, Ms. Abubakar,
Aye.
Vice President Jordan, and President Newbill.
Aye.
That motion has been approved, and that paper as amended will be before you again on May 12th. Madam President, would you now like to move on to the approval of the minutes?
Councilwoman Robertson, did you have your? Oh, okay. Madam Clerk, I thought I saw council members like that.
Yes. The minutes to be approved are for the following: the April 14th, 2025, 4 o'clock informal and 6 o'clock formal meetings, and the April 21st, 6 o'clock special meeting. If there are no amendments or corrections, then these meeting minutes will stand approved as presented. And they have been approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Let's move on to introduction of ordinances and resolutions for this evening.
Members, the list of legislation for introduction this evening consisting of items 5 through 19 has been provided to you, and the legislation on this list is hereby introduced as presented. A copy of the list is currently available for public inspection at the rear of the council chamber, and an electronic copy and copies of the listed legislation will be available on the city's website on Tuesday, April 29th. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's proceed with reports and announcements. Councilmember Abubakar.
Thank you, President Newbill. I want to thank everybody who came out last week, including my colleague, Councilmember Trammell, and the mayor to the 4th District meeting. We had about 125 residents who attended and facilitated a Q&A with the mayor around the city's budget. I also want to thank the 2 women-owned 4th District businesses, Black-owned women businesses that made the event so successful, Danny B Events, which is an event space in Stony Point, and Lyra's Natural Kitchen, who provided us with catering. I also wanted to congratulate the Friends of the Forest Hill Park on another amazing spring classic bike race yesterday. This is one of our most highly anticipated family events of the year, and the 4th District was thrilled to have such a great, successful event for all the kids. There are 2 signature events coming up in Westover Hills before our next council meeting. One is the Westover Hills Home Tour on this Sunday from 1 to 4. So if you are nosy like I am and you want to see into some cool houses in Westover Hills, aka Bestover Hills, come join us then. Then the following Saturday, May 10th from 4 to 7, we are having our annual neighborhood picnic. That is one of our biggest fundraisers of the year. So please come out. Members get a discounted rate. And the fire station is always there, and it is always a wonderful live bands, foods, wonderful time. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Trammell.
Thank you. Last Saturday, we had, I want to thank Charles Snelling, who's the president of, one of the presidents of the Oak Grove Neighborhood Association. He had his first Easter egg hunt. We had over 100 children over there, and it was one of the best things I've seen in a long time to see those children and the moms out there looking for the Easter eggs. And also, I want to thank Chris and his staff from Recreation Parks, and also Bobby Vincent from Public Works for helping us put this on, cutting the grass, getting different things done, cutting the tree limbs so they wouldn't fall on the children. And that's just one of the things that we're going to have at that playground. As Sabrina has always said, these playgrounds are for all of us in the city of Richmond, for us to enjoy them, use them, and that's what I'm definitely going to be pushing for more things, not only at the Oak Grove playground, but also at the Blackwell playground. Also, on Thursday, May the 8th, our mayor will be at our 8th district meeting. That's from 6 to 7:30 at the Satellite Restaurant and Lounge. I know there's going to be a lot of questions for the mayor, so we're only there an hour and a half, so we're just, if you can get the questions to me, and I can let the mayor know or give them to him so that he will be able to answer some of the questions. We're in the budget right now, and this budget is it's not been a very good budget. It's, fighting for this and fighting for that. We want to make sure that we can keep collective bargaining. We want to make sure that we have 5 collective bargainings for police, fire, all of that. There's some other things that we're working on, trying to get the streets done, trying to get our TV Smith Community Center finished, trying to get our Station 21, a brand new fire station, trying to get that finished so our firefighters can leave Station 22 on Broad Rock and come back to Station 21 on Richmond Highway. So if you have any questions, you can always call my home at 804-233-7382. Again, my home, 804-233-7382. My personal cell is 804-240-5050. Again, 804-240-5050. You can always text me because most of the time we've been here. This right here is your free smoke alarm. It's the only thing that's free in the city. If you go to the nearest fire station, they will come there and they'll check out your smoke alarm for you, and they will put the new one up. And if it needs a battery, they'll put the batteries in it. So please, please take advantage of this because these smoke alarms do save your life. And I just want to say one more thing. Our mayor, he's new. He's only been here 3 months since January. Got sworn in January the 1st. We had a water crisis on the 6th and still having some issues. And I know that our CAO is working on them tonight. And we got a new director, and that's Scott. And I want to thank Scott Morris for always taking my calls. He's been, ever since he was brought in here, he's taken my calls in reference to things I didn't fully understand what was going on. And Sabrina, thank you, because even Sunday night you were on the phone with me, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate my colleague and who gives me a lot of guidance and works with me and others too. I just say I appreciate you. Again, thank you all. Thank you, Brian, and thank you, Dwayne, for being here tonight. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Councilmember Breton.
So I would like to thank everyone who came to our first district meeting last Wednesday. Our next bi-monthly meeting will be June 25th, Wednesday at 6 p.m. at Mary Mumford Elementary. In between now and then, you can also come and see me at the Speed Management Symposium on May 22nd from 4 to 6 at Main Street Station, where the city will share its comprehensive multi-departmental approach to improving roadway safety and reducing crashes, injuries, and fatalities. I know it's important to you, it's important to me, so I hope to see you all there. That interactive event will be a great opportunity. Sooner than that, the Museum District Association House and Garden Tour Committee is hosting a community-wide cleanup on April 30th from 6 to 8 p.m. in the Museum District. So meet at the corner of Stewart and Cleveland at 6 o'clock to pick up some supplies and get assigned a task. And we'll be cleaning walks and clearing storm drains in anticipation of making the neighborhood look great before the city's bulk pickup day. And last, I want to remind everyone that RVA 311 is the best. It is the quickest way to report a city customer service request or delivery of service issue. Beyond that, you can reach my office by calling 804-646-5935 or emailing whitney.brown@rva.com and andrew.breton@rva.gov. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Robertson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening to everyone. Two announcements. First of all, I want to thank Ms. Sabrina Hogjaw for her team that showed up at our district meeting, and we talked about budget, and it was a very productive meeting. And I just want to thank you for all the work that you've done with us and with council to get us to the place where we are tonight with the budget. Appreciate all of the overtime that you've put in your team. The next district meeting will be held on May the 22nd, and it will be at the Bellmead Community Center. And we are going to be celebrating our children from Richmond Public Schools and the community for the great work that they've done throughout the year. Also want to put an announcement out to the Highland Park community. There's a special use permit that is coming before the Planning Commission on the 6th of May to deal with 3122 2nd Avenue. I've gotten some calls from the community. We had it continued at the last Planning Commission meeting, and it will be coming back up again on May 6th. And if there's a desire of the community to have a meeting with the developer prior to that time, I'm more than happy to do so. You may reach me. My office number is 804-646-7964. My cell 804-314-7658. And my email is ellen.robertson@rva.gov. Look forward to speaking with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice President Jordan.
Thank you, President Newbell. Just want to give my appreciation to everyone who participated in the Mayor's Day of Service. Smith Peters Park in Carver was the recipient of that volunteer energy, and it was fantastic to have folks out doing that. So thank you. And remember, you can volunteer all the time. Like, you don't have to wait for an event organized by the city. Hands-on RVA always has things listed on their website, community foundation, et cetera. You can also look to your schools or your church. Tons of organizations and way to get back. I want to acknowledge that our office has heard a lot about the status of rebate checks. And for those who were not in our informal meeting, we did discuss that and get some information back from administration. Please, if you're having any issues with those rebate checks, they bounced, if you didn't get it, if you got one with someone else's name on it, just submit a ticket to RVA 311 or RVA Pay. If that's not working for you, send the information to our office or to your council person's office, and we will push it forward and make sure it gets in the right hands. I know not everyone's able to navigate the internet. My colleague already spoke about Speed Management Symposium. Those are really terrific opportunities for anyone interested in transportation issues and mobility issues in the city. I highly encourage folks to go. All of our DPW folks will be there. They'll have tables set up. You can ask your questions, get information. Lastly, I'll just point out that in our Governmental Operations Committee meeting last week, we talked about the lead-free water program. There are a lot of lead lines in the 2nd District especially, but wherever you are in the city, you can check on the status of that by just Googling DPU lead-free water. They are working to pursue additional funding and alternative funding, but we're, I'd say in the process of trying to reevaluate how we continue on with that program. But there's a lot of information about what to do if you suspect you have lead in your water, et cetera. Lastly, my contact information, if anyone needs assistance with city issues, 804-646-6532. You can keep up with things going on in the 2nd District via my office at Catherine, Katherine, JRVA, Facebook, Twitter, or Reddit. And you can always reach out to 2nd Liaison Sven.Phillipson@rva.gov or to me directly at Catherine.Jordan@rva.gov. Thanks. And
Councilmember Gibson.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank Mr. Vincent for joining us at our last district meeting. Our next district meeting will be May 21st at 6 p.m. at Community High School. And we'll have a member from the planning department to give us a presentation on the code refresh and to answer questions. There are many in the third about the code refresh. Second, on April 29th at 7 p.m., there will be a Sherwood Park Civic Association meeting at the Waldorf School. Want to let people know that there is a free blood pressure screening coming up. This program is provided in partnership with VCU Health, the American Heart Association, Daily Planet, and Capital AHEC. That's on Thursday, May 15th from 11 to 1 at the Ginter Park Library. And as always, please make sure to sign up for our mailing list, which can be found at the rva.gov website. If you have questions or concerns, please reach out to us. My email is kenya.gibson@rva.gov, and you can reach out to our district liaison, Sarandon at Sarandon, SARANDON.ELLIOTT@rva.gov. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Gibson. Just a few announcements. I would first like to thank everyone who came out to our district meeting on last Thursday at the Kitchens at Reynolds. We were joined by the president of Reynolds, Dr. Paula Pando, our mayor, Abula, Delegate Ray Cousins, Commonwealth Attorney Colette McKeechin, and Captain Killingsworth. It was very productive an opportunity to hear from each of them and to get updates. Our next district meeting will be held on Thursday, May 29th at the VCU Health Hub, and more information to come and be emailed regarding that. A special community meeting will be held on this Wednesday, April 30th at 6 p.m. at Franklin Military Academy, located at 700 North 37th Street, to discuss the proposed rezoning of 3510 Glenwood, 3526 Glenwood, 609 North 35th, and 619 North 35th Street. The rezoning would amend the underlying zoning of the properties from 5 single-family residential to R63 multifamily urban residential. So please join us for that meeting to provide your input. I do want to express thanks to all of the residents, all of the folks across the city who joined in with the mayor's day of service in a variety of quadrants across the city, but certainly 7 district residents and other community groups who assisted this weekend in projects in Chimborazo Park, Chimborazo Playground, and Libby Hill. Thank you. For more information, please feel free to contact my liaison, Sam Patterson, at 804-241-7544, or you can contact me, 804-543-7837. Those are our cell numbers. With that, Madam Clerk, any other agenda items? Nope. Thank you, everyone who came out this evening, shared your voice and position on papers that were before us. This meeting now stands adjourned.